Coronation Street has released a first-look clip from next week's episodes, as Sarah Platt's prison ordeal goes from bad to worse. In scenes set to air on Monday, August 17th, Sarah tries to comfort her cellmate Casey, who is going through troubles of her own. Sarah is currently behind bars for the murder of Theo Silverton, which she covered up for a while with the help of Gary Windass. Casey, meanwhile, has problems of her own as her personal life comes to the fore. In upcoming scenes on the ITV soap, Casey will share with Sarah that her son has been arrested on suspicion of armed robbery. In a new teaser clip, which can be viewed below, she calls him a good lad and protests his innocence. As Casey chastises herself for not protecting her son, the mood soon sours as attention turns to Sarah. Casey mentions Kit Green, Sarah's former boyfriend, and suggests that the police officer can help. Given that Sarah recently broke up with Kit in a bid to protect his career, she doesn't think restarting contact is a particularly good idea. Casey, however, is desperate, and pleads with Sarah to change her mind. "Please, Sarah. I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate," begs Casey, who is seemingly running out of options. "I need to help my Brandon and I don't know how. Please. You need to ask your fella to help me." As advanced spoilers reveal, Casey goes from begging to demanding in a short space of time as she blackmails Sarah into complying. Kit can't help her if he wants to keep his career, so Sarah is really stuck in an impossible situation. Just how much danger is she in? Meanwhile, Kit is also struggling to cope with Sarah's son Harry, as he starts acting out. The copper comes to a harsh realization, that he may not be able to provide the stability that the kid needs, and he may need to live elsewhere. Sarah Platt's life is about to become even more complicated as Coronation Street prepares to put her through a tense new prison ordeal. The latest first-look scenes suggest that Sarah's time behind bars will be far from straightforward. Already struggling with the emotional consequences of everything that has happened, she now faces an environment where trust is difficult to find and even the smallest mistake could have serious consequences. For Sarah, prison is not simply about being separated from her family. It is about losing control of her own life at a moment when she desperately wants answers, support and a way forward. As the new scenes unfold, Sarah appears visibly shaken. The familiar confidence that viewers have seen from her over the years seems to be slipping as the reality of her situation begins to sink in. Outside the prison walls, her family and friends are also left dealing with the fallout. Sarah has always been fiercely protective of the people she loves, but being locked away means she cannot simply step in when problems arise. That helplessness could become one of the hardest parts of her ordeal. Inside, however, Sarah quickly discovers that she cannot afford to let her emotions take control. The first-look storyline hints at an uncomfortable confrontation that could leave Sarah questioning who she can actually trust. A seemingly innocent exchange takes a darker turn, forcing her to think carefully about what she says and who she says it to. Sarah knows that prison has its own rules, and she cannot assume that everyone around her has good intentions. What makes the situation even more painful is the knowledge that life on the cobbles is continuing without her. While Sarah sits behind bars, family arguments, secrets and unexpected developments continue to unfold. She can only hear fragments of what is happening outside, leaving her desperate for information. That distance could create a devastating emotional strain. Sarah has always been someone who wants to know exactly what is going on. Being unable to control events from prison could push her towards making decisions she would normally avoid. And then comes another problem. Sarah may find herself forced to confront consequences from her recent actions. Even if she believes she was acting for the right reasons, prison gives her very little room to explain herself. Her motives may not matter to the people around her. The first-look scenes promise a Sarah viewers have rarely seen before, vulnerable, isolated, and increasingly uncertain about what the future holds. Yet beneath the fear, there are still signs of the determined Sarah Platt fans know. She refuses to completely break. Instead, Sarah begins looking for ways to survive the ordeal. She watches the people around her carefully, listens more than she speaks and tries to understand the complicated dynamics inside the prison. But keeping her head down may prove easier said than done. A new confrontation could force Sarah into an uncomfortable position, particularly if someone discovers information that she would rather keep private. The possibility of another secret becoming exposed raises the stakes considerably. Sarah's biggest weakness has often been her emotional connection to the people she loves. If someone threatens her family, she can become unpredictable. Prison may test that instinct more than anything she has faced before. There is also the question of what happens when Sarah finally gets the chance to see her loved ones again. Those meetings could become some of the most emotional scenes of the storyline. Imagine Sarah sitting across from a family member, separated by a glass barrier, desperately trying to appear strong while struggling to hide how frightened she really is. For a character who has spent years trying to protect those closest to her, admitting that she needs help could be incredibly difficult. And there could be another twist waiting. The prison ordeal may change Sarah permanently. When she eventually returns to Weatherfield, she may not be the same woman who left. The experience could make her more guarded, more suspicious and far less willing to trust people. That could have major consequences for her relationships. Sarah could also find herself reassessing who truly stood by her when she needed them most. Some people may surprise her with their loyalty, while others could leave her feeling completely betrayed. The storyline therefore has the potential to reach far beyond Sarah's time in prison. It could affect her relationships, her family life and her place on the cobbles for months to come. For now, though, Sarah has one immediate challenge: surviving what comes next. The first look scenes make it clear that her ordeal is only beginning. She may have expected prison to be difficult, but nothing can truly prepare her for the emotional pressure, unexpected confrontations, and difficult choices ahead. As Sarah tries to keep herself together, viewers will be left wondering whether she can make it through without making another decision that comes back to haunt her. One thing is certain: Sarah Platt is not going quietly. Her prison storyline looks set to deliver fear, tension, emotional confrontations and potentially explosive consequences. And when Sarah finally gets out, Weatherfield may never feel quite the same again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST. Coronation Street airs on weeknights at 8:30 p.m. on ITV1 and streams on ITVX and YouTube.